Note: Wikipedia attributes the following book to Herbert Vivian based on two sources from the 1900s and the 1971 Dictionary of Anonymous and Pseudonymous English Literature. However, the Science Fiction Encyclopedia and VictorianResearch.org attribute it to Wilfred Honnywill. The claim seems to stem from a lengthy and well-researched post, though no longer available directly outside of the Wayback Machine, on the blog Bear Alley, and seems to have been adopted by at least one or two booksellers, though L.W.Currey, for example, still attributes it to Herbert Vivian. In any case, Wilfred Keppel Honnywill was born in 1871 in Sompting, West Sussex, the son of Reverend John Blake Honnywill. He attended King's School, served in the Royal Navy, owned and managed a newspaper, and finally began publishing books. His first book was supposed to be a collection of poems, seemingly titled Irene and Other Poems, though of course this one was also anonymous. In 1901, his following book, his first fiction also, entitled The Masterson, a romance, seemed to have been very popular despite mixed reviews, one of which said, "So far as the Masterson is a jest upon the subject which is of all subjects the least proper for jesting, and saying it is an ideal tool to use to frighten children into fits." Its popularity led to another novel, The Curse of Eden, a non-fantastic story of the wings of a country doctor, being published that same year. Incidentally, if Honnywill is the true author of The Masterson, then the pseudonym used by him, a well-known author, would be a further extension of the joke, as it was his first proper book. And yet still, in 1901, in what seems to have been a very eventful year for Honnywill, his mother passed away, leaving him an inheritance that made him give up writing as he no longer saw a need for it. However, due to his alcoholism, he seems to have spent the whole lot of it on spirits, and then in 1909 he committed suicide by jumping off a Farringdon Road bridge. The Masterson begins with the dedication to those inspired persons who quarrel amongst themselves whilst instructing the world by means of religious novels. Anthony T. Grigg, a philosopher and searcher after truth, is seen at the beginning of the novel living in a run-down garret in Drury Lane. He lives together with Thomas Trelawney, his only friend. The two of them are irreverent agnostics examining various philosophies, with Trelawney promising that should he ever die before Grigg, he should send Anthony a series of letters from hell. The next morning Trelawney was found dead in his bed. 1 year passes, and on the anniversary of Trelawney's death, Grigg finds a manuscript on his writing table, written on a material reminiscent of India rubber. Grigg feigns his hair going white from the shock, but upon awakening, the manuscript is still there. Trelawney writes to Grigg to fulfill his promise and to inform him of the true desirable quality of hell and Satan. The author here following in the trails of Marie Corelli, who wrote a book on a similar subject a few years prior. The novel then proceeds to detail the increasing infatuation of Grigg with the idea of going to hell, but Trelawney's further letters hint at a possible reason to be refused admittance in a cryptic way, and not knowing what this possible reason could be drives Grigg nearly to madness. Finally, he learns that, among others, entry may be refused him for having wrecked another man's life, and he strives to somehow repent, lest his soul be forever blown about in the wind that blows between the worlds. However, at that point the novel kind of loses its identity. Its one strong point, a satire on religious writings, eventually just peters out when the book just becomes what it had come out to satirize. It turns into more or less a didactic novel, in the sense that Grigg's actions are the same as if the issue was securing admittance into heaven, just the words get swapped out. There are some good passages early on, but the descriptions of hell and Satan are not detailed enough to really be all that exciting, which is a shame, seeing the premise of this book was rather intriguing.